Hello and welcome to the Tea Party Howdy channel. Whoopi Goldberg apologizes for using Romani slur on The View. I'm really sorry. Oop, she did it again. Or did she? Let's see what happened. Whoopi Goldberg issued an apology for using an offensive word on Wednesday's episode of The View. While discussing the former president, Donald Trump, the talk show host mentioned how her supporters feel he got gypped in the 2020 presidential election. The View official Twitter account posted an apology video from Goldberg shortly after the episode aired. Still waiting for that apology for Jane Fonda saying that she wants people who are pro-life to be murdered. Still waiting for that apology. You know, when you're a certain age, you use words you didn't know, used words when you were a kid and you remember saying, and that's what I did today, the 67-year-old actress explained. I should have thought about it a little longer before I said it, but I didn't. And I should have said cheated and used another word, and I'm really sorry. How long until cheats start complaining that they're offended that you use the word cheat? Because, because what happens? Okay, let's look. A message from Whoopi Goldberg, today's episode of the blah, blah, blah. Multiple Twitter users commented how they were unaware that gypped was an offensive word. Okay, everybody knows it's an offensive word, but they didn't know it was connected to a people to make it offended. But here's why. Oh, here we go. But according to Yahoo, here's why the term should be retired. Gypsy is a word that's been used to describe the Romani people, according to Merriam-Webster, who changes their definitions on a dime now to suit liberal needs. That's the benefit of having the digital world instead of the print era, where in the print era, you had to actually think about whether you wanted to change a definition or not, because it meant reprinting all the books with all new language and all new typeset and screwing up the pages and everything else. Now they just push a button, so boy do they take advantage of that. And words mean what they need to mean, as long as they need to mean it for the people that they want it to mean it. Gypsy is a word that's been used to describe the Romani people. It's defined as being gypped, as being cheated, defrauded, or swindled. Yeah, so you can see why. Of course it's offensive. It's supposed to be offensive. And notes, regardless of its etymology, that it's probably short. Probably short for gypsy? So wait a minute. According to Yahoo, we're supposed to retire this word because it's probably short for gypsy. And why isn't gypsy capitalized? Gypsy's a group of people. That should be capitalized. Well done, Yahoo. For years, some have casually used the word to describe when they've received less than paid for. Yeah, because that's what Merriam says that it means. Or if they've gotten something stolen. Again, because that's what Merriam says that it means. Obviously, gypped doesn't have the best connotation. Neither does cheated, which is what Yahoo wants you to say. Or, sorry, what Whoopi said she should have said instead. I encounter a lot of people who tell me that they never knew the word gypped had anything to do with gypsies, because according to Merriam-Webster's for today, it's probably, but not definitely connected. And keep in mind, the word gypsy isn't even about the Romanis. It's for Egyptian. Look that up in your etymology. Okay. Especially when the word is heard, not read. University of Texas at Austin professor Ian Hancock, I'm sorry, what? I can't say that word again. Who was born in Britain to Romani parents. Oh, not Egyptian parents. So maybe he should just get over it. Explains to, of course, NPR. Way back in 2013, Yahoo dug for this one. My response to them is, that's okay. You didn't know, but now you do. So stop using it. I'm in control of your language, not you. I'm the word. I can't say that word because if you say it, then YouTube will say you've said a better word and block me. Not about race, but about what? I think I skipped a line. I did. Okay, that's okay. You didn't know about it. Now you do, so stop using it. It may mean nothing to you, but when we hear it, it still hurts. Really? A grown man who's a professor. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will make me still hurt. I'm an adult and I'm still feeling pain. Good grief, you squishy man, you. Goldberg came under fire last year for the offensive comments she made about the Holocaust on an episode. Okay, I don't care about that. Here's what matters. we are okay, look at it like this. When you look at the history of centuries, if you look at 1920s, you can get a pretty good idea of, because you already had World War I going on. You can get, World War I is finished. I know it finished in 1918. 11. Okay, so you can get a good idea of the feel of the century. It's going to be a century of lots of wars where everybody just goes all out to wipe everybody out. I mean, look at World War I with the trench warfare. They just kept throwing human beings in front of machine guns, and they just kept doing it. And so then you had World War II, you had the Cold War, and you had Iraq. I mean, it's just, by the 20s, you knew what it was going to look like. You go back to the 1820s. You had the abolitionist movement over in Europe as well as in America, and it set off the whole century of fighting slavery. Ending it and then having to deal with the repercussions of ending it. And okay, so that set up that century. In the 1720s, you had the earliest stages of the Enlightenment, which would lead to revolutions, which would lead to countries being born out of ideology instead of genealogy. So if that maintains true for this century, the 21st century, we're in 2023 right now, and this century so far has, all it's been about is, you can't say that. That is what the 21st century, think about all the woke stuff. It's all based on, you can't say that. And as Dr. Peterson pointed out, in the 1990s, we started with political correctness, which was nudging you. Then we went into, you have to. In the 21st century, moved into, you have to, or you're going to get written up and possibly suspended or fired. And now we've moved into the third stage, and we're only in 2023. Now we've moved into, and now you have to say this instead. So we went from nudging of not saying this to punished if you did say it, to not only can you not say the old word, which we now deemed old as of right this split second, but now we're telling you what you have to say going forward. Now the government is putting the words in your mouth with full force. So if it's any indication, like the prior couple of centuries, of what this century is going to look like, oh, it's not looking good. Think about it. We go back to 1700. And that was still the era of kings and queens and monarchies. At least in those era, the kings and the queens had a huge responsibility to their people. And, as Mel Brooks put in History of the World Part 1, also known as the funny version, not to be confused with Part 2, which everybody who's watched is like, oh, what have I done? What have I done? It's good to be king. I love my people. The people love me. Pull! Ah! You have to watch the movie. It's on the trailer, too. There was a responsibility to the people, and they knew it, and they felt it sincere. We are not in that era this time as we go back to what you can and cannot say. Now we're in an era where it's all about power and grabbing more power and going up the scale of power. And I'm not sure the people that are the most power hungry and mad about it have thought beyond the riches that it's given them. It's not even future tense. It's already given them. You've got SVB, you've got all of these people out there that are elite and rich right now grabbing power left and right, and they're taking the money with them, and when they get woke and they go broke, now they're forcing us to bail them out. Thank you, Silicon Valley Bank. Thank you, Signature Bank in New York. And the list goes on. It doesn't look like they've thought out what happens next. It's like the old Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoon. When Wile E. Coyote finally catches him and he goes, I caught him, now what do I do with him? It's like, well, I think you're supposed to eat him, but he didn't remember that. So we are going into an era that very much looks like the foundation has been set. You can't say this, you will be punished, and now you will say this. And as Bill Maher discovered recently, that the Chinese people have known since Mao took over, this is nothing new. This is exactly what Mao did when he took over. If you're not familiar with the Maoist revolution, look up the videos on YouTube, look it up in Encyclopedia Britannica, however you do your learning thing, and you will go, oh, this looks like what's going on in Britain and what's going on in the Americas. Yes, it does. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the future.